India recently tested its short-range ballistic missile SRBM Pralay. India's pool of ballistic missiles are essentially meant for strategic strike purposes. With China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force PLARF fielding a sizable inventory of conventionally armed ballistic missile in Tibet, the Indian Army wants to deploy symmetric counters to the same. The Indian Army can strike targets at distances of close to 500 kilometers with BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, which though deadly accurate can carry a payload of about 200 kilograms or so, but being somewhat expensive. As such, the Indian Army in recent times has felt the need for a short-range ballistic missile with a range of around 500 kilometers that can also carry a sizable payload. It is to address this requirement that the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) has developed conventional, strike surface-to-surface missile SSM called the Pralay. The project for the design and development of Pralay was sanctioned in March 2015 for a sum of 332.88 crore rupees. The lead DRDO laboratory for this project is the Research Center Imarat, Hyderabad, which has now emerged as a full systems laboratory. Pralay is essentially a derivative of the PDV exo-atmospheric interceptor with commonality of airframe and some of the avionics as well. Like the PDV, Pralay's propulsion system too uses solid fuels that can function in a wide range of temperatures and allow the missile to have a long shelf life. As such, Pralay is a canisterized system that will be able to strike targets out to 500 kilometers with a payload of around 800 kg. The canister itself is designed by DRDO's Advanced Systems Laboratory. While Pralay's onboard inertial navigation system (INS) is capable of receiving multi-constellation satellite updates, the missile is believed to have an accuracy of sub-10 meter CAP even without updates to remove accumulated errors. With its PDV heritage, Pralay will be rather maneuverable and capable of quasi-ballistic flight profiles. Interestingly, if both the PDV and Pralay could be produced in tandem, one could potentially experience greater economies of scale, thereby bringing down costs associated with both sets of systems. A conventional strike ballistic missile, Pralay is supposed to level the playing field for the Indian military in any engagement with the Chinese. While the Indian Air Force (IAF) has the edge in the skies over the People's Liberation Army Air Force (PLAAF) in various sectors along the line of actual control (LAC) due to the proximity of its bases to the frontier and the fact that they are in the plains, it is also true that Indian air bases are vulnerable to missile attacks by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force (PLARF). Waves of such attacks could put Indian air bases out of commission for some hours at a stretch, and it is important that the Indian Army is not left completely devoid of the means to attack enemy centers of gravity during those periods. Moreover, massed Pralay attacks on Chinese air bases can also serve to curtail the People's Liberation Army Air Force (PLAAF's) sortie rate in certain sectors, thereby leveling the playing field for the Indian Air Force. The missile is named after the Sanskrit word for Holocaust. It is a canister tactical surface-to-surface missile and can be used as a short-range ballistic missile (SRBM) for battlefield use. It is an answer to the Chinese Dongfeng 12 CSSX-15 missile. Akin to the People's Republic of China (PRC), which has a separate wing for missiles called Strategic Rocket Force, India has forwarded this proposal and it is being discussed in the highest level talks in Defense Ministry (MOD). This rocket force will be instrumental in countering enemies at the border. It was the brainchild of the late CD's Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat. The Defense Research and Development Organization has described Pralay as the next-generation missile. It uses a rocket propellant engine with a range of 500 kilometers and follows a quasi-ballistic trajectory. It was first tested on Abdul Kalam Island, located off the coast of Orissa, on the 22nd of September 2021. The second test was conducted the next day, that is, the 23rd of September 2021. The missile has a high explosive fragmentation warhead weighing 350 to 700 kg. The missile can target and destroy enemy radars, communications installations, command and control centers and airfields. The missile is road mobile and fulfills the requirement of the Indian military for a conventional powered ballistic rocket that is not hampered by the core principle of Indian nuclear doctrine of no first use. The missile can dodge and evade anti-ballistic interceptors. It can exhibit maneuvers in the air with the help of a re-entry vehicle. It has a penetrating blast PCB and a runway denial penetration submunition. In simple terms, the weapon refers to bombs and bomblets capable of destroying the entire surface of an airstrip or a runway, crippling it entirely and rendering it unsuitable for air operations, takeoff and landing. Along with the BrahMos supersonic missiles, the Pralay and Agni missiles are strategic weapons possessed by the Indian Armed Forces. In military terminology, a gun is called strategic if its use can turn the whole outcome of the war. Tactical weapons can change the product at an immediate battle level. The Strategic Forces Command of the Indian Republic has complete control over the possession and powers to use and utilize these missiles whenever the need, emergency and threat situation arises. The Pralay is a side product of the Indian K-series missile family. These missiles are being developed for India's emerging nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine SSBM. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.